All right, section 3. So section 3, we have a choice of doing the client testimonials or the solutions. Typically, what I like to do is do the solutions next. And the reason is testimonials have traditionally gone at the bottom of the page. So for the solutions, we need to, start building some stuff for this. We're going to need a bunch of logos. So we'll need to collect all those logos. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to need to build this out. Looks like we've got some images in the background for auto insurance, home insurance, business, and life. We don't sell those, so we sell life, health, and Medicare. So we're going to change this up a little bit, right? But let's start building this thing. Looks like we need 1, 2, 3, 4 columns in one row. And then in each column, there's going to be 1, 2, 3 elements, an image, and then it's going to have some text and then a button and then an image on the background, right? So that's what we need to build for every single one. So let's get into it. Okay, I'm back to our page here. I'm going to go down to the next section and we're going to add a row, and that is going to be a 4-column row. Now in that row, if you remember, there was a background image, there was a little icon image, a text block, and a button. So we're going to add that image right there. So add the image. We're going to click that plus sign, click a little subheadline text, and then the next one was a button. So that's the basic for what we need to build. So I'm going to teach you another way of doing this. What I typically do is I get all the formatting figured out for the first one, and then I clone it, and it makes it go a lot faster. So I'm going to delete these purple columns right here. And this image, I'd probably want to go out on Elements and look for an image for a car or something like that. You can also click here, and there is Pixabay right there. And we just want icons, health insurance. And one of the biggest problems with using Pixabay is getting consistency across your images. So we'll probably want to bring in this one. It's way too big, so we're going to shrink that down to like 50. That's fine. Right, and let's see if there's any other images in there that we might be able to pull in. Let's go back out to Pixabay and just type in health insurance. And it was icons. Yeah, see, a lot of these are not in sync. So we're just going to do insurance icons. Let's change that to icons insurance. Or icons health, rather. There we go. Here's a nice little heart icon that I could probably pull, and it looks like it's the same. So that's fine. And then probably want to pull in one other for life insurance. And the life icon. We're just looking for something that stays consistent with that branding, if you will. There you go. Here's something that's kind of close. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. So there we go. So there's our 3 icons right there. So first thing I'm going to do is going to change this one to health insurance. And next one is we need to change that. And we're going to change the background color on this to blue. And we're going to change it to get a quote. And we need to change the background on this. So we need to go to the purple, and we're going to go to our media file here. And we're going to upload, we're going to go to our background images. That looks like a good one. And we're going to change this from full center parallax to just full width 100. And here's why I don't like putting people on backgrounds. And we're going to change that image opacity to heavy fade. All right, so now we've got the basics of it. Now what we want to do is we want to go to the purple and we want to clone this. Purple, clone, and purple, clone. Okay, so now we've got it 4 times, just like we have it here 4 times. And we want to change this image to the other image. And we're going to go back to Pixabay, and it was health icon. There it is. And we're going to go to this one, do the same thing. Maybe use something else here, insurance. That's not a bad one right there. We'll just use that one, that's fine. But it's on a square background, so I don't like that. So let's change that. I think I used a plural last time, so change it from health to Pixabay. There it is. Got to find it somewhere. And then this last one, we only selected 3 last time. So probably have to pick a 4th one. And see if there's any Medicare icons in here. Nope. About umbrella icons. Nothing that's really grabbing me. This is the biggest problem with finding consistency on Pixabay. If I had used elements.envato.com, I could download like an entire thing on here. So here's elements, and I could do insurance. Oops, spelled it wrong. And go to graphics and insurance icons. And you just get a lot more consistency. So here's all the insurance icons, right? So they're all look exactly the same. So when I'm using icons, I typically use Envato, and it might cost you $10 or something like that. So it's just worth it. But for what we're doing, these will work fine. And I'm just going to find another health icon. Let's try this one. All right, good enough, okay? Again, this one's square, don't really love it, but next thing we need to do is we need to change this background right here, because we don't want the same picture 4 times in a row, we want 4 different pictures. So I'm gonna choose this background images, and I'm just gonna choose the next one. And I'm gonna do the same thing for this one. Choose a different image there. And do the same thing for this one. There you go. All right, so now you've got 4 different backgrounds, but you notice that we've got some spaces in between here. So we want to make sure that we've got some equidistant spacing. Right now, we don't have the spacing, so let's figure out how to do the spacing. So we're going to click on this area right here, get the lavender, and we want to see if there's an option for your margins, which there is. So we're going to add 5 pixels to a margin here. Let's do 5. There we go. So if we did 5 on each side, that'd be 10. That would be pretty good, right? So I'm going to add 5 here also. Let's add 10 there. And I'm going to go to the next one. And this is going to be 10. And this is going to be 10. Then go to the next one. And you just kind of play around with the spacing. Now this gap did not take for whatever reason. So let's go back to here. 10 pixels. There we go. It's probably this one. Yeah, forgot to do this side. That's 10. And the other 10. And it looks like that's good. So now we've got spacing on the background. Let's check that. Now, if you notice, these are all dark, whereas we're using a light background. I like the dark better. It really pops it off the page. So let's show you how we can do that. Well, that means that we used a heavy fade, but our background color is transparent. So we're going to go to the first image right here, and we're going to change this background color to black. There you go. And instead of a heavy fade, let's try a light fade. And let's try a medium fade or a half fade. I like that. Okay? So we're going to do that on every one of them. We're going to change this background to black. And we're going to change this to a half fade. And this is why it's easier if you get one done and you just clone it. It makes it a lot easier than having to do it on every single one. There we go. All right, but we did lose our text here. We're at black on dark. So we want to change the text color. Let's go to our text here. We're just going to highlight all that text. And we're going to change it to bold, and the bold is white. And we're going to highlight this and change it to bold. There you go. And we'll do the same thing here. And this is going to be, let's say, life insurance. Change bold text to that. And this one is Medicare insurance. And for this one, I'm just going to bold that and change it to white. And I'll change it to, I will just call it business insurance. Okay. Now, there is not a whole lot of space between these, right? So we're kind of squished. So these are all nice and spread out. These are not. So we want to add some spacing in here. So we're going to go to this first one, and we might want to add, let's say, 20 pixels here. And we'll do that all the way down the row. And then we'll add 20 pixels here. We're just bumping up our margins. And we'll add 20 pixels on the margin for, actually, let's do 60 pixels there. Let's do 40 pixels, see what that looks like. All right, that's better. And we really want to add some pixels on top of this one too. So we did 20, 20, and 40 at the bottom, right? So that looks much better. The other thing we may want to do is, like, these are all squared off edges. You may want to round those over. Right now we don't have a border on there, but if you added a full border, and we're just making a black border, but we're going to change that to a transparent border. I don't want to see the border. I just want to have a border. And then we're going to do a border radius of, let's say, 20 pixels. And that rounds it over a little bit. So it makes it a little bit more appealing. Okay, so we're going to do that, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've got all the formatting done the way I like it. I've added the corners on here. I added some additional padding to the lavender column right there. I added some padding, not margin, but padding. So there is a difference. Padding is typically on the inside, and then margin is on the outside of the box. And so I've done all those things. The last thing I had to do was, these images are landscape rectangles. So when I put them in there originally, they were on a fill 100% height and width, and you can see it just kind of distorts the image a little bit. So what I did was I just played around with it. The parallax did not look very good. Repeating, it just didn't show up at all. Repeating horizontally, no bueno. And then if I go to the 100% width, you notice it doesn't fill in the bottom. So you just play around with it and pick the one. This is full center, right? And if you notice, like, not that it's a big deal, but this is why I don't like faces in a background, because images and stuff like that, you just don't know where they're going to show up, right? So for something like this, it's better. This one, there's like only one person, then we got a handshaking, but it's getting covered up by the get a quote button. So just be aware of that. You could also put some corners on these quotes, but I like it having square corners to change the corners on the quote or on the quote button. You go to the event, you click on a button, you go to advanced, and you want to add a border to that. So right now it has no border. We're going to go full border, and we're going to go change the color to transparent because we don't want to see the border. We just want to be able to change the radius on it, and then change that pixel radius to 25, right? Try 50, make it a square one as opposed to a round one. So you have a couple different options there as well. You can also change where you want those. You can change it for tops, bottoms. I just like the all edges. So there you go. Okay, so on to the next section. The next section we're going to be going about is let's do the blog post nest, because again, I do want to put those client testimonials down the bottom. So we're going to do that, and we're going to add in the blog posting. So stay tuned.